You should feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love. I'm trying to see the fault lines, the trails running cold. You've got me pushing all in. I'm hoping you fall. Your touch, it puts me at ease. Your skin is soft like a cloud. You keep my heart in a cage, and you won't let it out. I've been lost in your eyes since our paths were alive. I'm trying to figure you out, but I'm in no state of mind. You could feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. You should feel like you could lose your mind for the one you love. Get on your knees, pray the stars alive for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love. If I could mainland this feeling, babe, you know that I would. Our love feels like a mystery that you've understood. You should feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love. I'm trying to see the fault lines, the trails running cold. You've got me pushing all in. I'm hoping you fall. Your touch, it puts me at ease. Your skin is soft like a cloud. You keep my heart in a cage, and you won't let it out. I've been lost in your eyes since our paths were alive. I'm trying to figure you out, but I'm in no state of mind. You could feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. You should feel like you could lose your mind for the one you love. Get on your knees, pray the stars alive for the one you love. If you're You should feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love. I'm trying to see the fault lines, the trails running cold. You've got me pushing all in. I'm hoping you fall. Your touch, it puts me at ease. Your skin is soft like a cloud. You keep my heart in a cage, and you won't let it out. I've been lost in your eyes since our paths were alive. I'm trying to figure you out, but I'm in no state of mind. You could feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. You should feel like you could lose your mind for the one you love. Get on your knees, pray the stars alive for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love. If I could mainland this feeling, babe, you know that I would. Our love feels like a mystery that you've understood. You should feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love. I'm trying to see the fault lines, the trails running cold. You've got me pushing all in. I'm hoping you fall. Your touch, it puts me at ease. Your skin is soft like a cloud. You keep my heart in a cage, and you won't let it out. I've been lost in your eyes since our paths were alive. I'm trying to figure you out, but I'm in no state of mind. You could feel this heaven all the time for the one you love. You should feel like you could lose your mind for the one you love. Get on your knees, pray the stars alive for the one you love. If you're ready, make the worlds collide for the one you love.
Hi, welcome to Unconventional Madeira Blandy's 10-year-old. My name is Francisco Albuquerque. I'm the winemaker just from 1990. I have 35 years of activity here in the Blandy's Madeira Wine, and this loch reflects a new generation of Madeira wines aligned with the current consumer trends. These new wines with a new image is the reflect of the investment of the Madeira wine doing and researching and development and the new products. We have traditions and we are pioneers in the scientific studies and publications about the genetic of aging in the Madeira wines. These new wines resulting, we're changing the image because for us, we give, when we're changing air installations from Funchal to the east of the Madeira in 2014 for Canissal. Of course, part of our stock of part of our aging room cellars are moved and are in another geographic part of the island, and we don't have idea about the conditions of the weather, and mostly we need to know to monitorize the humidity and the temperature. Is why over the last years we have both the temperature and humidity are being monitorized in the 12 aging rooms on the warehouses, where we to try to understand with the same wines in 12 warehouses to try to understand the genetic of aging of the wines in the another geographic part of the island, not on Funchal like the tradition. And it was really a surprise because we in Canissal, after 8-10 years, the wines are completely different than the aging in Funchal, with different characteristics, with the same complexity, but the wines are not so concentrated in terms, there are no so balsamics than the wines aged in Funchal. And why? Because the Canissal in average have more 70% of humidity than Funchal in average, and if the temperature is low, they have a maximum of in average they have a temperature around 21 degrees Celsius, and in Funchal in average we have 23.6, with the maximum temperature in Funchal on the cellars is around 36 degrees. In Canissal, the maximum we have resisted it was 32. That makes all the difference because, of course, use it the aging, the casks, and the process of Madeira is a process, and there's a very complex and intricate process of aging, and we need to understand all that genetic and the influence of the temperature combined with humidity are crucial to have and to extract as maximum as possible from the different varieties and wines. All these 10-year-old wines are blend wines. Let's say is a mix of different vintage who give you an average 10-year-old. have the Cercial, the Verdelho, the Boal, and the Malmsey, the four main white varieties from Madeira. Each variety have a proper sweetness, and I'm going to speak a little about of each variety. But let me know, is the part of this research and this innovation is the fact, the visual renewal of the bottles and with the transparent glass permits the consumer to distinct the different colors of the different varieties. Immediately, if you look at for the color of the Cercial, is much more pale than the color of the Malmsey, because the Cercial is dry and the Malmsey is sweet. And for another side, the coloring due by the labels inspired in the colors of the island is much more easy for the consumer to identify the sweetness by the color of the labels when they look at for a range of the bottles on the bar, and it's much more intuitive, and it was, in my opinion, a good change, and I think the wines comes a little more fresh than the traditional. Let me say, for us, it's very important to respect the the legacy of the wines, the tradition, but always we try to innovate every year, during the vinification, during the harvest time. Always we try to innovate something. It's something of the political of that company, is why we are the pioneers in the aging and to make Madeira wines. Festival, let me say, the Madeira wine is a fortified wine, is a liquorous wine, is a DOP. Let's say it's a wine with a degree alcohol between 17 and 22% in alcohol. Is DOP because the borders in the Madeira are very easily is the sea, because we are a small island and have no confusions about borders. And have the traditional varieties is another conditions to be DOP, and have a proper legislation. I can make only Cercial dry, I can make Cercial sweet. Okay, the law said me, and they regulate all the process of the wine also, and they have institute to give you the guarantee of the originality and the typicity of the wine, is the Madeira Wine Institute. Apart of one with that wines are a little unconventional wines. Why? Because traditionally we drink the Madeiras like one aperitif or like one digestif, after the meal or before the meals. But these wines today, with a low value of volatile acidity, permits us to make pairings very, very interesting. One of my rules to suggest to make pairings with Madeira wines is think in any time you think in food or any ingredient with potential to destruct a table wine, use it Madeira, okay? Let's say if you use it something very acidic, very salty, very spicy, okay? Or something like ginger, something like curry, It's something when you use it for pairing table wine, normally they distract the delicacy of the wine. But the Madeiras are so concentrated, so complex, and it can resist and for these elements. Let me speak a little about viticulture in Madeira. Madeira have only 400 hectares with vineyards. In acres give you something like 915 acres. It's very small area, but there have 1,600 producers. Each viticulture, or this small garden of grapes, or like you want to call, they have in average no more than 2,000 meters squared with vines, with land with vine. And that are all important because each variety is planted in the very specific areas around the island at different altitudes. Is what makes the Madeira unique, is why we said the Madeira is a wine with a very specific bouquet and with terroir, because you can reproduce it, the conditions we have in Madeira. Madeira, I'll give you one small example. We have one small area, you are like a volcano, the island, and 67% of the area of the island is natural park. More than 25% of the area of the island is up long 1,000 meters in altitude. Each 100 meters the temperature comes down 1 degree Celsius. Let's say if you're staying on the Funchal in the capital with 20 degrees and you wake up and you come for the mountain in 5 minutes, you're staying with at the altitude 800 meters, you have minus 8 degrees than in Funchal. Let's say they have varieties they preferring more humidity and less temperature, and other ones needs more temperature and less humidity. I'm going to starting to speak about specifically about each wine. The Cercial is a variety we make the dry wine. This wine is a 10-year-old Cercial. It's a blend made with more than 6 different vintage of Cercial, who give you in average all makes it 10-year-old. You look at for the color, is golden. It's a open color with a green rim. Have a beautiful color, is oxidized, of course, because and have a festival when I appreciate the wine and I put in the nose. First thing I want to know is if you recognize the wine like Madeira or not. Is characteristic? Yes. Complex? Yes. Very rich with a high intensity and complexity on the nose. Normally we said the Madeira don't have aromas, you have bouquet. Why? Because in the chromatography of a 10-year-old wine, you detect more than 300 different flavors. Is why what we have is groups of different components. Like say, you found on that wine notes of citrus crystallized, and like dry fruits, mix it with the citrus, candy fruits. These kinds of have the evolution of the alcohol, the brandy notes, mixing it all together, and have prepared for the dry Cercial, because it's a wine is dry, but in really they have 55 grams per liter of residual sugars for a 90% in alcohol. That wine have a high acidity, and with tasting the wine, nobody says that wine have remaining 55 grams per liter. And I suggested with the Cercial, you know, the more spicy and more acidic food, when you use it vinegar, is why I have here a tapa with tuna with alcapara macerated in vinegar, and is a very nice combination. And one I said is unconventional, because normally nobody drinks Madeira with some proteins or these kinds of tapas. But if you try, if you use it azabi in the Japanese food, try with the Cercial. Is a very, very nice wine for these kinds of food. I'm going to tasting. It's salty, is acidic. You have onion herbs, very strong. Maybe this with the alcaparras distract any table white wine. With the Cercial, have structure enough to supporting perfectly. I think it was a very, very nice combination, and the pairing with that wine is excellent. You can look at for the Madeira wine to like a wine to make you know, so funny matchings, because you have so different sweetnesses with the different varieties, and it's amazing. You can make, or if you want to drink like a meditation wine, they have a complexity enough to reading a book, and at the same time to appreciate the wine, because normally the glass we use it for the Madeira is a tulip glass like this one, like the port wine, because you need to shake the wine, because normally we're serving that wines at a temperature of 15 degrees Celsius, but because that wine is dry, normally I'm serving with 12 degrees Celsius. Okay, in 5 minutes it comes with 15, and very, very easily, but fresh, because they at low temperatures the temperature comes much more fresh, and the intensity of the acids comes up. That's it. It's very easy to identify the Cercial with this new lot of 10-year-old. Is the green one. Very easily. Let me say, only they exist on the island, only 22 hectares with the Cercial. That give you in acres around 54 acres of that variety, and 122 producers for 22 hectares. Okay, imagine it's a kind of the small is beautiful. You need to think like that. Well, the next wine, it was a Verdelho. Verdelho is one of the most famous and more prolific varieties in Madeira. It was that variety represents in the 19th century 75% of the vineyards in Madeira, and is one variety we considering the origin of that variety is, we don't know the origin, but we call the Verdelho from Madeira because we don't found any part satellites of DNA about that variety. We identify the Verdelho Madeira only in the Açores Islands, in Canarias Islands, and in Australia, because we exporting in the beginning of the 19th century thousands of plants to Australia of that variety. Verdelho is a medium dry wine. Medium dry means they have remaining residual sugars above 75 grams per liter, but the wine have also a very high and fresh acidity. You can, normally you said the wine is medium dry. The Verdelho, in really, is a wine perfect to use it with starters, with proteins, salty things. Also the wine, the kind of acidity of the Verdelho is a little different if you compare with the acidity do it by the Social, because you notice much more salinity on the Verdelho than in the Social. Why? Because I don't know the origin, but the amount of succinic acid is higher than in the other varieties, is why that gives you the sensation of minerality, salinity at the same time. I'm proposing to matching that wine with salty and matured manchego cheese. It's salty, they have lactic acid, it's acidic, it's strong, and in my opinion is a very nice combination also. It's really very good, because all the Madeiras don't matter, a part of the sweetness of it, they are so fresh, because one of the characteristics of the Madeira wines is in really due by the land, is the soil is suppressed, is more than acid, and any fruit produced in Madeira have always a high acidity, and at the same time is very, very flavored. They have lots of aromas, and if you go to the market and if you detect that a fruit produced in Madeira, all you need is to smell or tasting the fruit. Don't matter. Also the bananas is a sweet fruit produced in Madeira. If you compare it with a South American banana, it's completely different. Okay, but the Verdelho is a medium sweet, and they have lots of flavors of macerated fruits mixed with dry fruits, like some spicy. They have lots of notes of spicy, like Indian spices, some resins notes, like it's very, very nice, very, very fresh, and have a very strong and appellative bouquet. Animals is medium dry, with a very long and fresh aftertasting. It's a kind of wine I appreciate a lot, the Verdelho, to be honest. And with that variety, we use it also to make the table wines in Madeira. But first is the Verdalho. The Verdalho is a great variety. One of the problems is the production per meter square is very low. Is why for the farmers sometimes it's complicated. Well, if you want to look at for the bottle, is the blue, is the medium dry, is the Verdalho. It's very easy to identify the Verdalho. Let me say, when you tasting in Madeira and you recognize the wine like Madeira, is for one reason, because the Madeira is the wine more concentrated in the wall, in the molecular, that is, we call it sotolon, is a phenogreek lactone. If you think in spices, it's a kind of smell of the maple syrup or a mix of fenugreek herbs with curry, okay, the Indian curry is and is how characterize the Madeira, a part of the acidity, the structure, you know. Well, the wine number 3 is the Boal. Boal is the very easily to identify. The yellow label is medium sweet. Medium sweet means 95 grams per liter by the residual sugars. Normally is the more when you introduce Madeira for the first time, is the most balanced of the 4 styles of wine, the 4 varieties. Why? Because is very balanced sugars acids. In really, Boal is produced and only in the south side of the island, and we have only now 14 hectares, and for 100 producers. You see, is that variety needs to have lots of hours of sun, and is planted where we have more sunny days during all the year. It calls the Caleta, and the Boal is medium sweet, but is very rich, very easily to drink. To introduce the Madeira is more easily wine. It's very, very balanced. It's beautiful. It's maybe of the 4 varieties is they have one characteristic you have detected by chromatography. Always have amount of notes of vanilla on the Boal. We don't know the origin, but is one of the characteristics of that variety. Is very, very rich, is full rich in elements of bakery, mix it with syrup, molasses, you know, confectionery, and they have notes of dry fruits, toasted dry fruits, mix it with tea notes. Okay. What I have suggested to matching with the Boal, have the butter cakes, the Scottish butter cakes, and the ginger, because the ginger, you know, is something not easy to drink with another kind of wine. Is why, because and I'm now tasting with the ginger biscuits, the Boal. Perfect. It's not only theory, you know, we need to tasting, we need to make experiences, and the Madeiras permits you to make this kind of the things. Is why I said there's unconventional tasting, because you can use it with proteins, with sweets, with salty things, with acidic things. Sorry, I forgot the Verdelho. When I spoke about the Verdelho, I need to come back. The Verdelho have on the island 60 hectares that give you around 148 acres and 186 producers, okay, in small slopes. It produces 85% in the north of the island, where we have Atlantic weather. Finally, you have the Malvasia. The Malmsey is the more famous variety of Madeira, because it was the first variety planted after the discovering of the island. It's very famous because it's rich, it's sweet always. The Malmsey, normally we associate the Malmsey only for the desserts, for after meals, but I tell you, a part of the sweetness have always acidity enough to make interesting pairings also with the Malmsey, not only with the desserts. You can use it protein if you use it, for example, chutney on the protein, or if you use it, you know, onion, sweet onion, mix it with some protein, or to give some notes of sweetness to the food and acidic. The Malmsey comes perfect. Today, normally the people drinking the Malmsey with cakes, very rich cakes, and but I suggested for this wine because it's very rich and fresh, but they have 125 grams per liter of residual sugars. I suggested black chocolate, because if you use a chocolate with Madeiras, it needs to be cacao chocolate made with butter of cacao. Never use it Madeiras with milk chocolate. It's don't resulting well. Okay, the chocolate have 65% of cacao, 17% I think, and they're matching very, very well with the Malmsey. It's excellent. I can tell all that wines are unusual, because I think they goes in the direction of the new drinking trends, where the people want wines complexes, distinct, and with freshness. Okay, the people don't want to drink something boring, you know, something flat. Is why, in terms of innovation, I was thinking in the wine for the new style of consumers and for the matchings. In my modest opinion, it was great releasing to make that. It's something innovated, because starting to use it white gloss that permits you to appreciate the color, the beautiful colors of the wines, and hope you enjoy it, the wines and my explication. Sorry if I'm a little confused. Sometimes you need to speak about the technical things, and I think like a technician. But thank you very much for your attention. I'm here to ask for your questions. If you have questions about, or ainda não recebi nenhuma. Ah, já está. João Barbosa, thank you very much for your question. My favorite wine is difficult. That depends the moment, but normally I'm preferring the Verdelho. If I love cigars also. If I want to smoke a Habano cigar, my first choice is Cercial. For matching is always Verdelho. Obrigado, Joana Mesquita. It's a good question. All the wines have 90% because we fortify the wines with vinic alcohol at 96%, and at the same time, when I stop the fermentation with the fortification, I put all with 17%, and I stop the fermentation. And the wines, after aging in oak, the alcohol increases to 19 in all wines. But it was the Boal, the variety, Joanna, have a lower acidity, not the Malmsey. The Malmsey have quite the same acidity than the Verdelho. Have around 7 grams per liter, really. Vicente. Obrigado, Vicente Souza. Yes, I think we are in the range of the alcoholic beverages. The concept of the traditional wine consumer have changed. We know the people who drink wine drink any alcoholic beverage, mostly of them. And is why we need to be on the middle of all the range of alcoholic beverages. Don't matter what drink is. And I think we are a strong alternative for some wine lovers, because we have distinct wines, and I have my opinion, unique wines, typical and with a high complexity wines with a very good price for the quality. Thank you, Joanna. It's true. We have a big difference during the aging of the wines. We know the wines, the evolution or the kinetic of aging of the wines in the cellars or in the rooms, aging rooms, more hot, are much more. The high temperatures increasing a lot the kinetic of aging or the Madeirization of the wines. But we check it is not only a question of dehydration, losing water, have evolution also in the organic acids. And we detected during that monitoring process during 10 years in Canissal, in Funchal, the better evolution of the wines, it was when in the Social e Verdelho, is when they pathing in Funchal 3-5 years, and after the next years the aging in Canissal, because the wines comes much more delicate. You don't comes so balsamic than when they aging all the time in Funchal. Is why one of the reasons of the Madeirizations are different, because it's not the evolution of the acids are different, the organic acids, like I said to you, and each amount of tannins are different also in the four varieties. Is why is a paradoxal process, because you know the natural antioxidants are the tannins. The full tannin wine is Cercial and Verdelho. They have more tannins than the sweets, the Boal and the Malmsey. But the evolution is higher, and if I aging the first 5 years in Funchal, and the rest of the time in Canissal, where you have low temperature and more humidity. Obrigado, Joaquim. Yes, it's possible. Use it a knife or fork dishes. If you think in the Indian cuisine, curries or fresh Japanese cuisine, also, or also if you use liver pastas, or is perfectly possible. Imagine also some pastas with lots of pepper and strong cheese or blue cheese. Okay, it's a very, very nice combination. I tried that in Toscania last year in May. Não recebi agora. Não. Ah, Alexandra Kinova. Do not, thank you, Alexandra Kilova. Other foods apart from milk chocolate do not pair well with Madeira. Well, if you think in the fresh protein dishes, like, you know, fish, salads, okay, all not oxidized foods don't matching well. Fresh cheese is a disaster with Madeira. If you serving a Madeira with a fresh cheese, you after 2 minutes you feel like you have a plasticine in your mouth. They comes very solid, and it was terrible. Is why salads with Madeira don't resulting well. It don't all the, you know, also carpaccio, the Esco, Carpaccio, these kinds of, not cooking proteins, only if you use it strong sauces like or wasabi. Okay, if you don't use it, some ingredients strong and food are not very cooking, it was difficult to drink with Madeira. Obrigado, Marco. Thank you, Marco. Yes, the Malmsey is sweet, but to have also the component of the acidity you give you some balance. The wine is not boring, but of course, if we when I use it something very acidic, like imagine something with garlic, vinegar, onion, and all together, and dry it things. For me, I preferring to use it something more citric, not so sweet. Is why, but for the common starters, I think they comes well. Only the acidic food is more complicated, something with so many amount of residual sugars, in my opinion. Now, any variety, good question, João Barbosa. Each variety have their each area, specific area, and microclimate. In really, have in Madeira more than 7 microclimates, because, like I said to you, each 100 meters the temperature comes down 1 degree in altitude. The temperature difference of temperature between the north side of the island and the south side of the island is quite 3 degrees Celsius. For another part, on the south side of the island, just to 400 meters, you have the tropical weather. At the level of the sea in the north side, you have the Atlantic weather. It's much more cold and much more humid. Is why some varieties like the Boal don't resisting well, and the Rentez, of course, are not varieties, don't resisting for the high amounts of humidity. Is why the more resistances are the Cercial and the Verdelho. They're growing in the south side, on the top of the mountains, up 1,000 meters sometimes, and or in the extreme north of the island. And the Verdelho also, they're resisting well, but the Malmsey and the Boal, normally they're preferring high temperatures and low humidities. Thank you, Paulo Caldeira. Pode ser o Cercial como um amuse-bouche. Depende do prato. That depends the what you got to serving after this moment when you make promoting the amuse-bouche during the dish. Normally, the 10-year-old is a little is very concentrated. Is why if you go to serving something I think it's not a good idea. If you go to serving something spicy after to make a break on the dish, I think the social is perfect because they clean up the mouth, but the aftertasting of that wine is more than 5 minutes. It's why I said if you go to serving something delicate after, when you go to tasting something very delicate with the aftertasting of the wine, sometimes don't resulting well. But if it's something strong and flavored, perfect. Cheers. Yes, thank you, Marco. And really, like you know, more and more the people want to buy her casks for aging whiskey or flavored the whiskies, but we have more than 2,000 casks in the Madeira Wine Company of 615 liters in average. But normally you don't sell that casks because they are so important for us, you know. Mostly of them, they have more than 100 years, okay? We don't buy oak just from 1915 of the 20th century. And mostly is American oak, use it. We continue to have 4 coopers on the company, and I have more than 2,000 casks, and I have more 2 million liters in staves in stock. But sometimes some people from the whiskey wants to buy casks. Well, sometimes we sell 1 or 2 casks, but it's not something we're doing currently. That's why. Carlos Cruz, thank you. With the carbonara, well, I think if you use it Parmigiano, really Parmigiano, perfect. If you use it a Northern cheese, no. Joana Mesquita, thank you for the question. I'm very afraid with the future in terms of sales are good, in terms of quality of wines also. All the companies make it better and better wines in the island. We are very satisfied, and all my colleagues, the concurrence also. But the problem is the demographic pressure against the agricultural soils, you know, and we are a touristic island. It's the first industry of that island, and it suffer a lot with the demographic pressure against the soils, and made also. All the viticultures comes very old. You know, it's a problem. You feel it also in the Midland. You know, but we are so small. You notice much because we are very close to the areas, and I'm staying always in contact with that viticultures. In Average, they have more than 65-year-olds, and it's a problem, and it's part of the problems needs to be resolved by the companies to explore more areas of with vineyards, of course. Thank you very much for your attention, and hope to have more questions on the chat.